1. Okay, everything seems to be up and running now. It says I'm recording, I've got audio. So you're going to be giving your synopsis on my book, Closer to God, in the first half of this video, and then I'm going to be speaking about your book,
Yes.
Power of Yahweh, in the second half. We have both written books about what we think God is, and so we are very interested to read each other's books and to converse and just to see why we think what we do. You see, because I'm absolutely in refutation of Yahweh being the God, and I've got many, many reasons for it, and some of which you know. And you are, you are for Yahweh. So you're for Yahweh, and I'm for Brahman, to be fair, because it's much more simple. So take it away. You're going to read your synopsis, and
Okay.
I'm just going to sit here and listen.
So just one thing. So most Christians would say that the God I supposed to be Yahweh is not Yahweh. So
What do you mean by that?
I mean, when I talk to regular Christians and I tell them what I suppose Yahweh to be,
Yeah.
they deny. They just give a no. They call me not to be a Christian.
Right.
Yes, because my picture of who Yahweh really is not the same as most Christians believe.
Well, you see, when we speak about Yahweh, we're speaking about the Old Testament, and so it isn't Christian, is it? It's Judaism.
Yes. So
and this is why you have the Star of David on the front of your book.
Yes, but this what I'm using this star authentically. It came from within. It was inspiration. It was not because I thought this is the God of the Bible and this is my God, blah blah blah. So, but it came from my heart.
Okay, well, let me just, for the viewers, for those of them that don't know, this symbol of two triangles married up together is an ancient spiritual symbol of male and female. You've got the inverted one, which is the female, and then you've got this one, which is the male, and they go over together. They're married up. The Jews took this, made it their Star of David much later, didn't they? And so originally that sign was an ancient spiritual sign, more metaphysical than religious.
Okay. Interesting. Well, very interesting. And just to mention Yahweh.
Let me just add something here. So you weren't aware of that?
Of what?
Of this being an ancient symbol way before the Jews.
Yes, of course. Just I didn't. Well, such details I don't memorize them properly.
Okay.
I read it.
Also, when we look at the swastika, which was made famous again, that goes back thousands of years. I remember looking in a museum in Bulgaria, Eastern Europe, and they had some clay vases there, which were reputed to be 4,500 or 5,000 years old. They had that swastika sign on, with the dots in between, just like they do in India. And so that was a pervasive sign all over the world, curious enough.
Yes, it's a very powerful, positive symbol. And it's for example, it's used today for Falun Dafa. Do you know Falun Dafa?
No.
It's a very very important movement, spiritual movement of Chinese people, and there are supposedly like 100 million people.
Oh, I've heard of the Falun. Is that just an abbreviation?
Yes, Falun
The
Dafa.
Falun, they're being persecuted by communist China.
Yes, they use the swastika
Yeah.
symbol, and the difference to the Nazi regime is the direction. So it's like clockwise, but Hitler turned it
Anti-clockwise. Yes, but I don't think that's true, because when you see these German flags, from one side it was inverted, but from the other side it wasn't. You'll never see a German swastika always pointing to the right. You'll see it pointing to the left, depending on which way you're looking at it from.
It is true that it was not unified.
Yeah.
And also there's another detail, that the swastika, it can be straight or like this.
At an angle, yes.
With an angle, yes. And this is also an important difference. They used it partially that way and partially that way. Partially.
So you being German, then you should be very familiar with what the German National Socialist Party was inferring by that. Do you want to speak just a little bit on that? Because they had their idea of being benevolent and wanting to bring health and riches to the world. And so initially I couldn't find too many issues with the German National Party, and then when you see all the propaganda movies, everyone's young and fit and healthy and all happy in the factories doing their jobs because they felt a part of something. People don't feel a part of anything these days. They're all stratified and torn apart, but Hitler brought them all together. And that was a very positive, powerful thing as far as I could see. It's just that he went a bit off here and there.
Yes, we can talk about it at another time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an own topic. I have to say something because my grandfather was at that time, he was quite engaged and a huge fan, yes, of these National Social Party, and so we can talk about it.
Yeah, that's another video. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a quick drink and then to read.
Your book deserves a review.
Okay, take it away.
Okay. So this is a short review about a very special book. It's called Closer to God, from a British guy, Aaron Berry. It's quite thick, as you can see, 670 pages, quite heavy. It took me about 4 days to read it. I'd like to tell you something about the content of this book, and I'd like to recommend it for anyone who is interested in spirituality or any kind of topic related to the most important, deepest questions in life. So, what is the sense of life? Or what is this all about, and who are we? Basically, you will read a personal as well as spiritual biography. Aaron Berry is 60 years old. He had a quite intense worldly life until 46. He traveled around the world, visited or lived and worked in almost 50 countries. He was earning lots of money, enjoyed comfort, sexual pleasure, as well as intoxicating drugs. His life was about being a successful businessman, fulfilling his wishes and desires, and do whatever he wanted to do. All of this took a turn with an accident. He was shot in his house in Africa by a stranger. Severely injured and nearly dying, he was very close to death, and it took him some time to recover. This experience shook him to the core. It was a turning point, the start of a new era, a horrible life crisis, what he calls the dark night of the soul. that would last about 7 years. He started to overthink his life, his goals, the sense of it all. He took himself back and dived into deep, meaningful topics like psychology or philosophy, religion, and spiritual practices. He started to walk the path to his own self, to explore the truth. He started to meditate, to focus his mind with meditation on a regular basis, and did psychedelic drugs hundreds of times, especially different types of mushrooms and DMT. Coming with that, he made lots of experiences that led him into a living, authentic spirituality and deep insights into the nature of life and us human beings. This is what Aaron Berry is sharing with us here in this book. The most intriguing experiences might be those related to Jesus, the God of the Bible, Yahweh, Jehovah, and a challenging combat with a mighty evil power in a small, dirty prison cell in Mexico. This dreadful fight lasted about 2 months and forced him to bring up all his sincerity and willpower. He stood against the attacks and suppression bravely and overcame this strong entity successfully, using mantras, affirmations, prayer, and other spiritual techniques. He did not just survive, but grow and evolve to a better version of himself. Some kind of a baptism of fire that made him a true warrior and a new man. When the process had started, he was a worldly person without any kind of spiritual attitudes and a lack of interest in such like topics. The book introduces the reader in many of these topics he had discovered on this journey. They are quite essential and meaningful, and I would consider them to be part of an advanced general education level. Obviously, he spent like thousands of hours reading books about psychology, occultism, esoterics, religion, or philosophy like metaphysics and ontology. Not to forget regular science and technology, especially quantum physics and artificial intelligence. More examples the reader learns about would be The Dark Night of the Soul or The Allegory of the Cave by the well-known Greek philosopher Plato, the theories of Sigmund Freud and Carl Gustav Jung, pioneers of modern psychology, about the subconsciousness and the concept of 3 components of the human psyche called id, ego, and superego. The Bible is also quoted and discussed, especially related to spiritual teachings and concepts that might be overseen, misunderstood, or denied by many Christians. To name a few more topics you will find in this book: the Mandela effect, the simulation theory, left side in comparison to right side brain functions. A huge topic is the so-called egregore, something like artificial entities or energy fields with some kind of artificial intelligence, personality, character, intention, acting independently according to the intentions of those who created and fed this energy field, with emotions, prayers, belief, or imaginations of those attached to it. Aaron Berry considers the entities that appeared to him as Jesus and Yahweh to be such egregores. Aaron Berry's mind tries to connect all these disciplines, considering his experiences, to draw a big picture and get closer to a final conclusion. He was searching for answers, for the truth, and by this book you are able to explore his findings. That is at least 14 years of an intense lifetime in a condensed form. The range of topics covered is broad and challenging, especially when you are new in this field. It will need time to get into it and understand. You might need to make notes to remember and contemplate or do research. You will also find critical opinions and statements about religion, especially the Bible, Christianity, or Yahweh. The author is not a religious person, not at all. He has his arguments. I personally think that these arguments are worth considering and reasonable. Though our opinions differ here and there, what he says makes sense, and it's interesting and inspiring to me. Concerning the deeper spiritual meaning or layer in Christianity, I'm completely on his side, naturally. Even if I don't assume that the Bible is only meant metaphorically. Anyway, it's rewarding to see things from a different perspective. The core topics of this book probably are: what is real or reality? What is true or truth? His answer: there is no reality. Reality is just a concept. He states that just God is real and God is consciousness, nothing but pure cosmic consciousness. He considers himself to be cosmic consciousness, as he considers all of us to be cosmic consciousness. With this attitude in mind, he calls himself, but not just himself, also all of us, God. He is convinced that you are God, I am God, he is God, we all are God, and we are all one. There is just a single consciousness, which is the cosmic consciousness or the cosmic mind, that is separating itself from itself to experience itself, just like a game or a dream. We are rediscovering our own true self, like everything, the cosmos, pure consciousness. The book has about 250,000 words. Although you will find so much information and so many answers, still you will also find plenty of questions. To be precise, there are 755 questions in this book, more than one question on a page in average, while he offers answers to at least some of these questions. I find them inspiring and challenging. It's a good book for beginners that may have some kind of experiences and questions, as long as they are serious. If that applies to you, you will have a reasonable gain from this book. Since I am involved in spirituality for about 35 years, since I was a young teenager, the content is mostly familiar to me, with a few exceptions. For me personally, it's really a valuable book, and what I like most is that it's authentic. It's real. This guy is talking about real, authentic spiritual experiences, which is rare and hard to find. You will find true, genuine, authentic reports about spiritual experiences on social media. For example, when you search for near death or DMT, mushroom experiences that were induced by intoxicating drugs. There is a lot to find online, but it's not that a single person offers so many experiences. Normally, a person has maybe just a single near-death experience in his or her whole life, maybe 2 or 3, which is quite rare. Such reports are still a rarity. But this is the way to find out something about these layers of reality that are hidden to most of us. Normally, we cannot perceive these spiritual subtle layers. Of course, we can work on getting sensitive, and there are ways to develop our higher senses, but this is quite difficult to achieve. Mostly people need help, something like a very strong psychedelic intoxicating drug or a near-death experience. It's possible to develop higher senses and find such experiences by daily serious practice, but most people, well, they just don't do it because it's demanding. You need time, make efforts for years, decades, and you might also have to make sacrifices to live a pure, virtuous life. Intoxicating drugs and very stressful, outstanding, painful, dangerous experiences might also lead to such outstanding, special, life-changing experiences, but this is dangerous. So this guy had quite a lot of them, and he is sharing them with us. From my point of view, just that is worth buying this book. It's worth it. You will need some time. It's not always easy to read. You might need to make an effort to make notes and overthink. But in the end, if you have read all of it and understood what he is talking about, then this will be some kind of level up and might probably give you motivation to start walking on your own path. There is just one thing I'd like to mention in this very short review. Aaron Berry is a very open-minded person. He is very strong and he has a strong character, a strong personality, and he's really healthy. And what he did worked for him. It's his personal biography. For him, this was the right way to go, the right path. But for others, this might not be the right way to go. There are people that get into very serious trouble using psychedelic drugs. You might get crazy, you might get insane. You might get a very serious mental disorder using such intoxicating drugs. Drugs like DMT or mushrooms have a very severe effect that is absolutely mind-blowing and breathtaking. So I personally took LSD in my youth, and that was really adventurous and breathtaking. So I am also strong. I could do it. But a few friends of mine got mad and they got mental disorders. It's really horrible. They are mentally handicapped to this day because of using intoxicating drugs. A neighbor thought he would be able to fly and jumped from a roof. He's been in a wheelchair for decades and still is. He really destroyed his life under the influence of such a drug. If you have the right mental setup, then the use of such a psychedelic drug might be safe and you might find some kind of enlightenment. You might see and experience things from the spiritual world that are real, absolutely real, not hallucinations or imaginations. This is possible. I'm absolutely convinced that this is actually happening, especially with DMT. But it might be very risky. I would never, ever recommend anyone to use these drugs, to take them, never, ever. The only information that you will find in my books about intoxicating drugs is that you should not take them because they are dangerous. That does not mean they are necessarily dangerous for everyone. For some people, they might even be a medicine and heal mental disorders. But I'm not willing to take responsibility for using such drugs. I am for just being sober, stay sober. I'm not against medicine that can help to gain strength. This is fine from my point of view in most cases, of course, carefully, reasonably. But I will always tell anyone, recommend anyone not to use intoxicating drugs at all. So what he did was very fine for him. It might be fine for you too, but it might be the opposite. It might damage you. So everyone has to make such a decision for himself. The question is, how is it possible to find out if consuming these drugs is fine for a person? What are the criteria? I have my own theory about this, but I don't want to talk about this topic here. I will create a second video where I will go deeper into Aaron Berry's questions and the answers that I found that I can provide to his questions. I will talk about this in the second video. If you are interested in this to get into another perspective, which is my personal perspective, a different perspective than his, then you might be interested to watch the second video. I do not condemn intoxicating drugs. I consumed intoxicating drugs quite often in my youth. And when I did that, it was fine. But at a certain point, it was not fine anymore. I consumed these drugs after this point, and that was really not healthy at all. And I know people that got into very severe, serious trouble, especially people on the spiritual path. If you have your experiences, or if you are just interested in spirituality, psychology, philosophy, and you want to learn, this is the right book for you, especially as a beginner. But even if you are progressed, this is still quite interesting and valuable. I can just recommend this book. It's really a good book, a great book, and it's worth every penny or cent. it's really a very, very good, valuable book. So I hope that you found this review to be interesting. And if you want to know more about it, then just watch the second video or visit Aaron Berry's channel. Thank you.
Hooray! Well, that was a wonderful synopsis, a great report, and a great promotion. Thank you very much for that. I would just like to add a little bit on the end there in relation to the psychedelics,
Yes.
because personally, I have never known or met anyone who has had adverse effects. And all the people that I have listened to who have taken psychedelics, speak about them, promote them. You know, people like Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. He's took 7 grams of mushrooms, and he speaks about his experience. There's no caveat in there because you know, and the whole of the '60s passed by with one story of one person jumping out of the building whilst on LSD. Well, you know, I think personally, you know, that may have happened, but more probable it was CIA psyop. You know, lots of people jump out of buildings for lots of reasons, and all you'd need is someone that did jump out of a building to intend to kill themselves and then say they was on LSD. I haven't ever seen anything which is remotely indicative that LSD is bad for our brains, nor DMT, nor magic mushrooms. In actual fact, there are hospitals in several countries of the world where they are actually doing many, many studies using DMT and psilocybin, and they're saying that it's a miracle substance. And so, you know, the fear about psychedelics, I think personally, is very, very unfounded. But there always is going to be someone that is going to go, oh, but there's no neurological, long-lasting effects to this that I've ever heard any reports of. And so, if anybody else has, then you know I'm all ears. I think psychedelics, you know, are the most wonderful portals into very deep crevices of God consciousness. And without them, then very, very few people would ever have these experiences because it takes a long, long time. For instance, it would take you 30 or 50 years probably to have the same experience that you would have in 5 psychedelic experiences. That's the difference. And
Yes.
so that's what I'd like to add to that bit, because you know I'm not being reckless when I'm promoting, and I am actually promoting. I most certainly am promoting psychedelics because you know that I've only ever heard one story of someone in America once upon a time in the '60s jumping from a building on LSD and nothing else. I've never experienced that, and for years all of my friends were on all these different sorts of things, and nobody's ever gone into psychosis. So what's this story about your friend who's in a wheelchair now? I mean, what's the deal with him? What did he take? Acid?
I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly. So there are more examples. He's not the only one. Two of my, like, they were really good friends. So one of them was my best friend, and the other one was a good friend. And both of them, they got really insane, completely insane. I mean, driving nuts for the whole life. They are mad. They cannot take part in the regular life, both of them. And this is like 30 years ago, and they are still insane. They need to take, medicine, special.
So
stuff.
were they clinically diagnosed with some sort
Yes,
of mental disposition
yes,
directly responsible from LSD or something?
yes. It was clear. They got some stuff. I mean, they told me they got some stuff. They got high. They had whatever experiences, and then something in their mind was like driving nuts. Okay, and I mean, it's horrible because it's even worse than dementia. They are cripples, mental cripples. It's horrible to see a person getting a mental cripple. I mean, talking just stuff, shit, really shit. It's okay. I don't know. It's a special topic, but I know this. I mean, they were my best friends. He was my best friend and a very good friend. They got lost completely. I mean, it's horrible. And I know more people. I know a person. We will read this in my book. A Polish guy, very cool guy, and he was very spiritually, really very advanced. And he told me he was talking to God. He said it was like an orgasm, like 1,000 times. Yes. And he had this whenever he wanted to. He just had this direct connection. And then at some fire with friends, they met in the wilderness, some fire, and they had a joint. And then he took a few, maybe 2 or 3 times he sucked the stuff, and he immediately and fully consciously, he was possessed by a very strong demon, and he was not able to control himself anymore. He was not able to talk anymore, and he had to be brought to a clinic for mental disorders instantly from this fireplace. They had to call the medical staff. They took him, they brought him into the clinic. He was diagnosed. He was broken, completely and totally broken. They had to give him Haldol. Do you know Haldol?
No.
Haldol. It's psychopharmatic stuff. It's very strong. It was the first of its kind, and still he was like, he was like, how do you call?
But don't you think that that's kind of like, really freaky and bizarre? Because I would suggest, in all due respect, that this guy was clearly insane before he had the smoke of marijuana. If he reckoned he had direct contact to God, well, most people would think that's very, very crazy, wouldn't they?
But not you.
There would be anybody on the planet, in all due respects, which would go, oh yeah, I know somebody that's got that. Nobody would ever know anyone that's that direct line with God. Evidently that's very, very. He's evidently the chosen one, the one and only, or is completely insane. So we can all look at these things and speculate. None of us know the true story of all these things, but in all my years dealing with a lot of people taking a lot of psychedelics, I've never heard anything that's bad. All I've ever heard is even the bad trips are good. Because when we get a trip that, like I had with the one with Yahweh, is 3.5 hours of hell, which is, ironic in itself. Yahweh sending me to fucking hell, chastising me for my transgressions against love. I would have thought he could have been a little bit more sympathetic, being God. But then, there's a whole lot of connotations with that. Was it really God? Was it the idea of God in my mind? And all these things, which, one day we'll get into. But okay, let's leave that where we are and let's go on to the next part. Your questions in relation to my book, Closer to God, then, because we want to keep within the time parameter. Because reasonably we've only got 2 hours before people will to be scared to click on the video, because 2 hours, it's like saying, I've not got 1 whole year to watch a video, because 2 hours could seem like 1 whole year to people these days.
Okay.
Okay, take it away, Edward.
Wait, what I am supposed to do now? Do you want?
So you said you got a second video and you're going to be
Oh,
speaking. You've wrote
yeah.
notes. All those notes.
I can do this. The 10 pages, like 5,500 words. It would take an hour to read them, or 2 hours. I don't know.
Right.
It's a
Okay.
huge text. A huge text. It's like an essay.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, what do you want to speak on now? Because I thought you was going to speak about my book for an hour, and I was going to speak about yours for an hour.
Okay, we can talk about your book as long as you want. As long as you want.
And we'll continue then on another video. So okay,
Yes.
look, let's see how it goes. You got like 25, 30 minutes to go to touch on some highlights
Yes.
of what
Yes.
you remember about the book. Because what I've done is I've made lots of notes in relation to your book, and I want to ask you, you know, what and why you think and say the things you do. And I'm hoping that you're going to be asking me something like that. Because that's the whole purpose. You know, my book hopefully is an education for people. It's to broaden their mind. It's to give them questions and to give them insight into many of the experiences that I've had through the supernatural, through psychedelics, through deep meditation, through all the amazing people I've read and the information I took on board, which were really powerful to me in the spiritual journey.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. It's So first, one thing that I find about your book is that I personally would suggest you for some new edition to overthink I would rearrange some parts and sort them maybe in a different way to make it more make sense in a way that helps the reader to stay focused on some line. So I think it's a little bit confused. I would sort topics, especially in the last part. You're talking about scientific stuff, and I would try to a block just with the experiences, and then a block with psychology, and a block with philosophy, and then an extra block like trying to connect the dots and such like things to help the reader to get a better overview, because it just helps to get forward. So at certain points, so you start with your biography, or no, it's you even start with other things, and then you come to your biography. I would start with your biography first to get an overview about your life, and then first your biography, and then like getting into your experiences, and then
but my experiences are my biography.
yes, they are a part of your biography. Yes, of course. So it's, I don't know, it's complicated to sort.
It was a very complicated 14 years.
Yes, of course. It's a big work to do this, but just I think it can be improved to help. So in terms of readability,
yeah,
this is what I think it would help. So
I thought that all of the sub chapters could be taken in their entirety, just as they were, and they didn't necessarily need to be in any specific order. Because if I'm talking about egregores, then what I say about egregores is a subject unto itself. And where I placed it when I became acquainted with egregores, and that's just where it's slotted in. But you know, let's take for instance the Dark Night of the Soul. I post an excerpt of St. John, Dark Night of the Soul, when it was relevant to me, because when my ego imploded, that was what my experience was, and so then I paste that. And then
Yes,
when I
yes, yes.
discover Plato's cave, I went, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm doing. So then I paste that. And so I think there's quite a lot of it that follows a rational trajectory.
I wouldn't change that.
Hmm.
These 2 points, these 2 stories, they are at the right place.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sort them to another place. They are, from my point of view, they are perfect in that place. Perfect. I'm talking about other things that just come later on.
Yeah, well, the last kind of like couple of chapters, I'm throwing in other massive ideas,
Yes,
evolution, creation, simulation theory, then the Big Bang theory.
yes,
And so I just thought it was really super important because, of course, we are all are. We're all influenced by these things, and I'm pretty sure that the general public know very, very little. Now, I have read 800 pages of Darwin's Origin of Species, so I know what he's talking about. I have studied Nick Bostrom's hypothesis of the simulation theory. I have studied science with the Big Bang and how people were speaking about the Big Bang right back until 1220 or something like that. 1220 people were speculating about the Big Bang. And so these things, very few people have studied in their depth. And so I put them in there as options because I'm saying, look, you know, God didn't have a look in with Charles Darwin. And when Charles Darwin placed that book before the world, he was very, very concerned. He sat on that book apparently for 10 years because he was wondering about whether he would get harmed, whether the Catholic Church would try and burn him, and all this sort of stuff. And so you've got all this different sort of stuff going on. And, when I was at school, we had one little piddly religious studies, which was just here, there, and everywhere. And nobody was listening to any of it because it was all a bunch of crap that we weren't interested in. And then we had science speaking about the Big Bang, two big planets coming to bash together, and that was the Big Bang. Well, the first thing I said, well, where did the two big planets come from if it was supposed to be the beginning? And what did the Big Bang out of? None of it makes sense. So I've studied the Bible in great detail. As you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. I studied the Big Bang, doesn't make any sense to me. I studied evolution, it's very, very flawed. All these hypotheses are very, very wanting. The only one that isn't wanting, in my estimation, is the ideology of Brahman, that the cosmos is conscious, the cosmos is God, and we're all a dream in the mind of God. That
yes,
worked with me with all of my experience. And it worked with many, many other people, like Nietzsche. The more he thought about things, the more he ended up in the abyss. Like Rene Descartes, the more he thought about things, he just ended up in the abyss. And that's all we do. Any thinking person, we can only go one way, because by the time we have dismantled everything, because it just doesn't hold up to scrutiny, then we end up in the abyss. Quantum mechanics, we end up in the abyss. And so I was just presenting people how we end up in the abyss. Everything ends in the abyss. Quantum mechanics ends in the abyss. The Big Bang ends in the abyss. Evolution ends in the abyss. All religions end in the abyss. Everything just ends in the abyss, unless you want them not to. Unless you don't want to look too deep in any direction. That's the only way religions stand up. And so, okay, that point as far as I'm concerned. If you want to, have a look at another point of something. I mean, there's lots of things like what about my synopsis on faith? Because obviously that must be a big part of your everyday life being religious and believing in God and no. So, well, talk to me about that one then, because I'll be really interested about that.
If you would erase the Bible completely, take it out of this game, I would still have the same belief. The Bible is not relevant at all for my personal belief. Not at all. Everything I state and write, it's just only from my personal life. Yes, the only person or teaching that was really that took influence on me usually was that of my master.
But let me ask you this, Edward. Your book called The Power of Yahweh. Now,
Yes.
Yahweh is the Jewish God. It came out of the Jewish language in that period. So,
Yes.
how can you say that your Yahweh isn't this Yahweh or even related?
So I would say he wants me to do this. He wanted me to call this book like that. He wants me to call him Yahweh. Like this is everything I can say. And I cannot say that the God, the Yahweh that I know is the same God described in the Bible.
Right.
They are different. Okay, they are different. But it's clear. It was very clear. It is still clear. It is Yahweh. So okay, whatever. We can talk about it. Let's be focused on your book. You said, okay, you are talking about the difference between belief and faith.
Yes.
And you state that you had this vision about this bridge. And my thoughts were, yes, you are talking about something that is called a mental power, like being convinced of something, have faith in something. And that is giving you strength, power, the power of faith. Yes, it means.
But it didn't give me no power of faith because I never believed in it. I just looked up in the clouds and I said, okay, God, I'll put you to the test then. You say, if we believe in you and, we hold your covenant, then you have an obligation to give us whatever we want. I'm asking you, please tell me what the difference is between faith and belief, because I've asked 20 Christians around this place, I've asked 3 pastors, and none of them have got a fucking clue. And so, how could anybody have faith if they don't know what it is? That's what I was asking. And so I had to go into my own investigation. 3 pastors couldn't tell me what the difference was really and what the full magnitude of faith was. Other than, it's something, it's just like belief, only, you just have it or you don't, I suppose. And it's kind of, well, that doesn't answer my question.
No.
Nothing like because I could say then, if you don't know what faith is, well, let's just supplant hope instead of faith, and all you're doing is hoping that there's a God, hoping that there's Jesus loves you. So what do you feel about that? Because look, the thing is Edward, I've got a very critical philosophical mind, and I'm looking into the etymology of words, and I'm looking into how we use them, why we use them, and I want to know who knows what these words mean when they're using them. And every time I accosted a Christian and I said, look, you've got all these highlights and underscores in your Bible. Your Bible's full of it. You must know what the Bible's about. Tell me what the difference is between faith and belief. Now you've got me. And then they start flicking through the book and they're trying to remember where they've seen faith. Oh, let me get back to you on that. And I'm like, are you serious? You say you have faith. You say you believe in God and Jesus, and yet you don't know what it is. You should be able to tell me very elaborately what faith means in your estimation. Nobody could do that. So I just concluded it's just a crock of shit. It's hypnosis and no fucker knows. They just go, oh, you got to have faith, because it's more esoteric than just saying you just have a fantasy that God exists, really, because that's all it is. That's all I could ever find. Fantasy, hope, faith, all the same thing.
Okay, I think we're just talking about definitions. It's just a definition.
Well,
What is
get into the core essence. I want to know what the core essence is. What is the core essence of faith?
the core essence?
Yeah, what's the core essence? What is faith? Because I could never have it. For the love of money, for my life, I couldn't have it. If somebody says to me, your life depends on this now, you've got to have faith in Jehovah, or we're going to hang you. I'm like, well, just put the noose around my neck, because that's not something a critical thinking person can have.
So my faith is based on experiences. Period. It's not based on a book. A book cannot give me any kind of faith.
No.
How could it? It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
It's just a book. It doesn't make sense. People, yes, the believers, they use the book, the Bible, and they just believe and have faith. It's like you are talking to yourself. It's like self. How do you call it? Suggestion.
Yeah.
Autosuggestion. Autosuggestion. It's like that. It's like that. I believe in that. I mean, like, for example, God promises that this, and then you believe in this so much, so intensely that it gets a reality in your mind.
You hypnotize yourself.
It's like self-hypnosis. Yes, it's the same. But this is not what I do. It's not what I do. But I can tell you that this is, of course, helpful for a person that is has like this attitude. A believer does not have the attitude to make experiences and then accordingly believe. Like, okay, it's a bit difficult, because if you make experiences, you would say, I know this.
Yes.
But you can make experiences, and experiences are not talking to you normally they don't give you a very clear, specific knowledge. They are also like cryptic, or you have to understand what you experienced. You also have to use your mind. You have to use your brain. You have to think about this. What did I experience? What does it mean?
So what would you, when you read that story of that illustration, when I asked God directly, standing outside, looking up at the clouds, and I said, it is your covenant that if we believe in you and we ask you something, then you have to deliver. Okay, well, I'm saying I believe in you. Okay, so, I mean, to what degree, but to as much as I possibly can, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. And I've been praying and I've been confessing and I've been reading your book now for 6 months. Tell me what the difference between faith and belief is. And then in an instant, I saw a cloud configuration in the sky, and it was a very, very unusual one. I've never seen one like it before. And it was like a bridge. It was like a D on its flat base, and it was like this, and it was all cloud, and there was a portal like a bridge. It was like a humpback bridge, and instantly in my mind came this answer, and the answer was very, very fluid, and it just spoke faster than I could think it, and it said to me, belief is something that we could be deemed to be fallible, because if you were a strong man and you believed you could swim over the ravine, this canyon of water under this bridge, and you failed, well, that would be belief. Belief is fallible. However, faith is the bridge over the canyon, which there is no doubt about. And there's no doubt about it because you never actually get over the bridge. You are always in transition of getting over the bridge. So you can never prove it to be fallacious. That's faith as far as what, that illustration told me. What do you think about that?
Did so this interpretation of this vision, was it given to you very clearly in your mind?
Absolutely, absolutely, in an instant.
Well, it makes sense. Yes, it makes
It made
sense.
perfect sense, but it didn't give me. It gave me the answer to the difference, and I thought, "Oh, that's superb. That makes perfect sense." Because if you have a belief that you can swim across the canyon, and it may turn out that you can't because you get cramp or you get tired, well, you prove the belief to be fallacious. Beliefs are fallacious. It's their nature. It's not true. Yeah. But a faith, you can never discount the faith because the faith never ends. You never get to the end. You never put the faith to task. It's like the bridge, which was over the canyon. The bridge is there, and you can go over it, and that bridge is always going to be there, and you will get over it. The more you climb over this bridge, you will never be swallowed up by the waters because you're climbing over the treachery in the waters on this passage of faith.
Yes. Well, it's difficult. So I would translate this word into something like sorry, my vocabulary is not so good. I'm missing so many words. So sometimes I have to think.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yes, I'm sorry. So it's about trust.
Trust, yeah.
Trust. You trust in something so much that it's your reality.
Yeah, so you got trust, which then morphs or marries into hope. Yeah.
No, hope does not expect something to happen for sure. Hope means you feel like it might happen, and there is a high chance for
No, no,
this to
no.
happen.
Hope means you hope it will happen. Not it might happen. You hope it will. You really, really, really want it to. You really will it to. And that
But
seems to me when anyone's praying to Jesus or God, they're really, really, really hoping that Jesus is there. That's the whole thing about faith. You're trusting that Jesus is there.
oh,
You don't know that Jesus is there.
for me, faith means I'm so sure that when the result expected is not coming, then I'm totally puzzled. I see this and it didn't happen, and then I'm confused. I don't understand because I was sure it would happen, and then I'm freaking out because I had 100% faith and it didn't happen. But when I just hope, I don't freak out. I'm just hoping. And when it does not happen, okay, maybe I'm disappointed, maybe I'm not. It depends on my attitude. You can hope in different ways. You can hope in a very calm, safe way, so that you say, okay, I have hope, but if it doesn't happen, I'm still fine with it. Or you can have like this expectational hope that is really disappointed
Yeah,
when it
look,
happens.
we can hope that our partner would love us forever. And
Yes.
if we die before our partner dies, then that hope will never be disappointing because we could never prove it wrong. If our partner died when she still did love us, then the hope of her loving us until she died came true. But if she left me whilst I was hoping that she would be my wife forever, then my hope has been shattered. Yeah, but I think the difference with faith isn't anything that could ever be proven to be erroneous as long as we're living. You will only ever know if your faith is erroneous when you die and you end up in hell rather than in heaven. And then you go, you've had me believing in you walking on water and all this shit for all this time, this bullshit faith, and now I'm in the fiery Gehenna. That is when faith becomes an illusion, a non-reality. But the whole thing about faith, as far as I could gather, that it's the whole glue that holds religion together. It could never be compromised. It could nobody ever could have their faith taken away from them. They could only stop having faith of their own accord. But they could never discount the reality of faith, because no, faith will take you to the promised land. Faith will take you over that mountain, and if you stop, you can't disprove faith because you stopped. But if you were to continue, yeah, well, I couldn't continue. I broke both my legs, and so my faith never got me over the
Yes.
mountain. Well,
Yes.
you could have crawled. You should have tried crawling, because if you crawled, you would have got over. That's what faith seems to me. It's such a preposterous notion.
Well, it's like fooling the own self. You fool yourself into a certain specific thing. Yes.
Yeah.
You fool yourself into a consciousness that tells you 100% that this is real. This is gonna happen. It's real. And this is like fooling yourself into
It's
this.
self-hypnosis, yeah?
Yes. So, and now this is the point. This is actually a technique called mental power. And this is what the entities are doing. They are doing this to make sure that they have the best chances to reach their goals. They know exactly that it's an illusion, but they trick themselves into having absolute 100% faith so that it gets their own reality. And this is their mental power. And that way, the stronger you are, the better you are into tricking, hypnosing yourself into this specific thing. Yes, the higher the chance is that you will reach this goal. This is called a mental power. And if you train it, all these entities, especially evil entities, they are masters into tricking themselves into such like things. They are living in complete illusional worlds that they want to be true, and they fool themselves intentionally to reach their goals, and it works wonderfully. So they know this, and this is why so many people are like, oh, I don't want to have faith in something that is not sure. I don't want to have faith. I would trick myself, and this is stupid. Yes, this is our problem. This is also my problem. I don't want to believe in something that is not sure. Why should I have faith in something that is not sure? But I learned that it's a skill. It's a talent. It's a mental power. It's a technique to achieve goals, is to trick oneself into some kind of illusional thing.
Yeah. Okay, let me speak about that a little bit more then, because
Yes.
what I said in my book when I was assessing and analyzing faith, I said it's self-hypnosis, and I did it on myself. I said to myself, look, I'm going to do the best I can to put myself under self-hypnosis, and I would read the Bible and nothing else other than the Bible. I would speak to other Christians, and I'd go and speak to pastors and this, that, and the other, and I would do all that, and then I'll be praying to Jesus. I did that, for several months, because I really wanted to see if I could find something in addition, to what I had. And I discovered that slowly, with me, because being a self-assertive personality, I'd already made up my mind that faith was rubbish, because I saw through it. But I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt because I knew about hypnosis, because I'm a trained hypnotherapist. So I was hypnotizing myself, and I was finding that more and more I was lending myself to believe in it, and to maybe thinking when things happened and I met somebody, oh, that's God sending this person to me, this, that, and the other. Because in my life, I've had many, many synchronicities. And one of these synchronicities was relating to God. You remember from the book. I walk out into the early morning and I've got God on my mind. And I said, God, why am I always thinking of you? What is all this about? 24/7, I'm thinking of you. And then I just like gazed down at the ground, and it had been raining, and it was gritty, and the grit was dark, but there was one small stone protruding up out of the grit, which was red. And this red stone was a heart shaped. I
Yes.
went down, I went, that looks like a heart. I picked it out of the dirt. I'll show it to you now.
Yes. You collected 7 of them, I
Yes, I
guess.
collected 7, and they're all on that shelf, and there it is.
Oh,
Can you see
nice.
that? Isn't that
Sweet.
beautiful shaped heart?
Sweet.
So I saw that. I asked the question, why am I always thinking about you? What on earth is going on? And then I find a symbol of love.
Yes.
And it is the love that I've always denied. It was only 6 months before that Jehovah chastised me for my transgressions against love. And so here he is again telling me, I've been telling you, I've been telling you, and I've been telling you, right? It's all love. That's why you're thinking about me, because I'm love. And then from this point forward, I found 6 more hearts, making 7 in a short vicinity where they should have been found by many other people. And so, what do we make of that? What do you make of that?
Well, you got your answer.
Yeah,
It's
but
obviously it's nice. It's just kind. I mean, be happy, enjoy. It's so nice. It's beautiful.
so within the space of say like 1 month, I found the heart, and then I had the answer when I was looking up at the clouds, and I'm like, okay. So the other thing I did is I tried confession. And I said, God, okay, I'm going to confess all my transgressions. I want to get them all off my chest. And, I did this and did that and did something else. And so, anyway, there you have it. Now I've told you. And then instantly, I can't feel them in my body anymore. I can't feel the weight. I can't feel the guilt. I can't feel that negative energy. It's gone. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, confession really, really does work.
Yes.
How does it work? Did God take away my transgressions because I asked him to?
Yes. Because you were honest. You were truthfully regretting, and you repent.
Yeah.
Yes, and he can do it, of course. It's in your own self. So all our sins are like imprints in our system, and God can, in form of the Holy Spirit inside of you, He can just wipe it out like this. Yes, if He wants, and He does it in case you really, really regret. And He sees your heart and He decides, and then it's done. It's just like this. Everything, all sins will be wiped out. It's working. I mean,
Yeah.
you have the Holy Spirit. You have it. It's within you. You got it. You have it.
So what
Even if you never were, I don't know, were you baptized? Doesn't matter.
No. I mean, I've always said that I've never ever been alone. And I've traveled all these countries around the world, mostly on my own, and I've never felt alone. And it wasn't until into recent times, my late 40s, that I realized that the reason why I never felt alone, because I wasn't, because I had Holy Spirit. Obviously, I had confidence that nothing was ever going to happen to me. Of course, I was a British full contact karate champion, but that doesn't stop me getting shot. It didn't stop me getting shot. I got shot in my hand and I have no adverse effects from it. And I still got 24 4mm lead shot in my right hand. It could have hit me in the eyes, it could have hit me in the jugular, it could have hit me in a million other places in an artery, and I wouldn't have survived it. But it was water off a duck's back. I had that experience, which took me on a journey because I needed it, and everything about my life has always been because I've needed it, and it's always been the perfect stepping stone. But I have the deepest of resentment towards the Old Testament because first and foremost, the Jewish God isn't my God. It isn't my era. It's 2,000 years ago. It means nothing to me. All those stories mean nothing to me, and it's so contradictory. And to be fair, I made a video today, a right good rant. I probably won't put it up, but I'm just saying, well, look, if you look at the Bible if someone says to you, this is the book of the devil, and they've never read the Bible before, and they read it and they go, my God, this devil's a terrible person. And then you go, it's not really the devil. It's about our God. Jesus is Father. And you go, no way. That person's so disgusting and vile and murderous. And you go, yeah, go figure. So what do you make of that? What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, I don't believe necessarily that these stories are true. Why should I? I mean, you should be the first one to understand. I have a brain and I'm using it. And besides, I have a heart. And my heart told me very clearly that something is wrong with the Old Testament stories.
Yes.
Something is wrong. I don't know what, but something is wrong because the God I love, that is my God, that wants me to call him Yahweh, or he not necessarily. Yes, I can also can call him differently. It's fine for him. Okay, but he wants me. Okay, so this is not the God. Okay, it's not that. At least now, it's not that. Okay, I can tell you what I feel him, or how well, you have your experiences, and accordingly you made an experience with Yahweh, like you felt that it was him, and that what you experienced, yes, this is this fits into my picture. It's a very special and very cool experience you made. It's so cool. It's such a cool experience. I thought about this. It's so valuable. It's so cool. So, but this stuff in the old Bible, something is completely wrong with it, and you will see it when you read my book. I wrote a small chapter about their sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
There is this sacrifice cult.
Yes.
Yes, they're sacrificing. The temple was like a slaughterhouse. There was a constant flow, like a river of blood all the time.
They needed blood. And when you look into this sacrifice culture, it's demonic. It's evil. And it's been around for a long, long time.
It's horrible. Okay,
so something merged within that, within those stories. Lots of things got intertwined, and of course, the Old Testament is a plagiarization of, and the New Testament of loads of things. And so you can easily see why, all different sorts of gods, Moloch, and everything got all thrown into that stuff. Because look, the Old Testament, from what I can remember, was written over 1,400 years. 1,504 years, I think, if I remember precisely. That's a long time to get a load of shit thrown together. And then the New Testament was written over 40 years. But the New Testament wasn't even written. The first ink on parchment wasn't even written for a minimum of 90 years after Jesus died. So there's nobody that gave a first-hand testimony. It's all hearsay. It's all Chinese whispers. It's just, as far as I can see, a crock of shit. and nobody should believe in any of that crap. The only thing that the Old Testament's got nothing for me, absolutely nothing. It's pure evil. The New Testament, the only thing that's got for me is that Jesus speaks about human psychology because he was a guru. He was an Indian guru, apparently. He traveled from the age of 12 to the age of 30 in India and Egypt and, Middle East and all these places, studying with Gnostics and gurus and everything. And he was a very talented, very wise person. But I cannot accept that he was the Son of God, and then he was God, and then he killed himself, and then he rose himself up. And I've got a headache already. Just stop with this bullshit.
Yes. These are my words. I am saying exactly those words, that the Bible is giving me a headache, and this is why I don't read it.
Right.
I read I read maybe, I guess, 2/3 of it. I read, and I started from the beginning on, and at a certain point I stopped reading because it was too much. Also emotionally, yes, I had a fight. It was like a part of me was like telling me, okay, accept this God. This was some voice in me. And I felt it was like, okay, this is God. It was just a feeling that God wants me to accept this. This was just a feeling. And so I read it. But with every story I read, it got more and more difficult for me. Because I can't believe this. It's too, it's horrible. How could it be? It be?
Yeah.
So I have a completely different picture of God. Okay, really, I have a different picture. And you see, the New Testament in some way is a contradiction to the Old Testament.
It's an absolute massive contradiction.
Yes, of course it is. It's obvious. And you even have a contradiction in the Old Testament. There is a part in the prophets where God says, supposedly, I did never tell you anything about these sacrifices, about doing sacrifices. This is in, I guess, Jeremiah, yes, or Josiah, or how is it called?
I remember.
Yes, I wrote about it in the book. I mean, it doesn't make sense, okay? He says, I never told you anything about making sacrifices. It's in the Bible, undeniably. And on the other hand, you have hundreds of instructions, detailed instructions, how to slaughter and sacrifice animals.
Yeah.
And the Talmud is hundreds of pages only about how to sacrifice animals and things. And when you find this in the Bible, it doesn't make sense. Something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because the God in the prophets, he says, I am not interested in your animal sacrifices or any sacrifices. I want your heart.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what I want. Sacrifice, so-called sacrifice. Give me your heart.
So there's so many different facets of personality of God, mixed in there, and so for me, I have never ever been instructed by my higher self, by God consciousness, to believe in any of those writings in the New or Old Testament. Nothing. I have never been instructed any way to take that to heart. I have a certain compulsion because I'm interested, and it goes over and above interest. But what's happening in recent times, and my videos are becoming more and more kind of like obnoxious and nasty in relation to this, because I'm starting to get very angry about it. I'm getting angry at the contradiction. I'm getting angry at the lies. I'm getting angry at the barefaced evil which is proclaiming to be good, and the whole world falling for it. And of course, look, I'm getting Christians tell me, repent and Jesus loves you and Jesus is Lord and he's coming back. And I'm like, you guys, you've got no fucking idea what you're dealing with here. You've got no fucking idea. how you've all been swallowed up and beguiled and hypnotized and lied to. It's just basic human psychology. I have an adherence to what Jesus said. No problem with what he said. I've got a problem where it's proclaimed he came from. He ain't no son of God. He ain't no God coming from the clouds and all this. Because if you read Eastern philosophy, like the second coming of Christ, I mean, that's very much on a level of humanism. And he's telling people the Christos is within you. You are the Christos. We are the Christos. He's not saying that, I am God and, I'm going back there all the time. This is the Western corruption that's come about. But as far as the Book of Thomas, for instance, are you familiar with the Book of Thomas? Okay, the Book of Thomas, perfectly reasonable. We're all twins. We're all the sons of God. We've just tried to love each other and do right by the human being. That's it. Because he realized that the human being was a very, very flawed creature, and left to their own devices, then they would do terrible things. But if you go within, and if you find your compassion, and if you find your non-judgment, and if you love thy neighbor, and if you do my two commandments, love God with all your heart, which is yourself, and love your neighbor, which is yourself, because we're all one, then you'll have the best possible human experience. Great, I'm all up for that. But as far as God killing himself on the cross and then raising himself up and all this sort of stupid shit, it makes me angry. And so I've resolved, as soon as I've finished reading your books, I'm done with it, because I just don't have any allegiance at all. I have an allegiance with Eastern philosophy. It sounds much more reasonable. It's so simple, and I don't have to bow down and beg to nobody, because that ain't in my nature, and it ain't in my spirit. And even my spirit is telling me that I am God, and I don't bow down to anybody.
You don't have to. You don't have to. This is not even what. This is also a misunderstanding. It's like, if you give yourself to God, then you give up your ego. This is what you tell all the time.
Yeah.
You are talking about giving up the ego.
Yeah.
Yes, this is basically
well,
a thing.
I don't say, look, I'm not getting into giving myself to God. A god of some description, somewhere, some name. It all gets too confusing and nonsensical. But what I do know is what I feel, and that's what I go on. And what I feel is that I am God. And I am love deep down. And everywhere I've been on the world, I've been so intuitive. I've been so inspired. I've loved every second of it. This amazing creation is wonderful, and I am absolutely besotted and in love by it. The sun I worship everything. I worship the body. So this is all God. I worship God. But start labeling it and start telling me it's a man and he's going to punish me, I'll stick my bird up. And I'll go fuck yourselves, because nobody's punishing God.
Yes.
There's too many demiurges around. There's too many people vying for human energy. Everybody wants it. And so with Brahman, it just is, and everything is it. There's no competition. No one's vying for nothing. You are just it. Period. Done. And the point is, when we look at the virtues and illustrations of Jesus, they were all seated in human ego. They were all like, don't do this and don't do that. And oh, for goodness sake, don't be lying and deceiving. Oh, God, you're only going to bring trouble on yourself. It's all ego. It's all ego premised. It's all stupid on a very, very fundamental level, except when he says meditate, go in and then you'll find the Christos, you'll find Holy Spirit. Yes, great. That was where it was. But you see, Jesus is reputed to have two levels of teaching, one for the Gnostics and one for the idiots. And so the Bible is full of the teachings for the idiots. The Book of Thomas is full with sayings for more educated, reasonable people. They weren't about to try to manipulate anybody. The Bible's all about manipulation. And so, I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of wasting my time. I've travelled that road. Lord knows why I've been on this journey, but I was taken to America for this journey. I did a year in America for this journey, and I've continued with another year, and even prior to that, I've had all these experiences with angels and demons and all this sort of stuff. So something's going on. Something wants me to know something. Something guiding me somewhere. But I'm absolutely refuting those gods in the sky. I'm just not going there. And I think it's such a massive contradiction, because why would Jesus speak to me? Why would Yahweh speak to me? Why would Satan come, to try to challenge me? Why would I see angels? Why is it all biblical? Why isn't it Eastern mysticism, which my heart is really at? Why didn't Vishnu come and see me? Why didn't one of the Hindu gods come and sing wonderful songs to me? Why have I had these these European cultural gods? That's what it is. It's our psyche.
Well, actually, I suppose you even met a god. You met a goddess. So you had an astral out of body experience where this like black smoke, came, and it turned into a panther.
Yeah, and then it turned into a beautiful Egyptian queen.
Yes, and this was a goddess.
Well, it felt absolutely amazing, and I just wanted to live there forever.
Yes, I know. I mean, she's. I don't. Of course, I cannot say. I can't say she's this or that goddess, but this sounds like a very high type of goddess. And well, we will talk about it later. You have a relation to them also.
And you know what? In one of these astral projections, there was there's always cats. Cats are always in the astral world.
Yes.
There was one cat which was walking on my bed, and I saw the cat crystal clear, and it was yellowy beigey color, striped like a tiger. And I'm like, I've never seen a cat like that before in my whole life. So I researched on the internet after that experience, and after about an hour and a half, I found one cat, and that was exactly what the cat was like. That cat was Egyptian.
Yes, so the Hindu gods are actually the same like the Egyptian gods.
Right.
They are just they have different forms. Yes, these gods, they like masquerade.
Yeah.
Yes, they love to play roles and to change their appearance and to create characters. This is what they love. This is what they do. They appear to us in different forms, like for example, the Greek gods. Yes, like Apollyon, the destroyer.
Yeah.
Shiva, the destroyer. They are the same. They are the same gods. They are just they just change their appearance. They yes. Did you never hear that?
No.
No, okay. So I'm familiar with this. It's a big thing. It's a huge topic. You will see when you read my book.
The Hindu gods are the same as the Egyptian gods. Yeah, well, I mean, the Hindu gods, you got Vinesh or Ganesh, whatever it is, and then you got the woman with all the arms and everything. So
yes. This lady could have been this 4-8 arms.
Wow.
Goddess. She might have been this goddess. So, but I'm quite sure she's a higher level goddess. And she said to you that you won't get away. She said to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And this is so important. This is so important. And you didn't get what it means. She meant it. She didn't tell you just for fun. She meant what she said. She meant it,
Yeah, but okay, so you can't get away from me.
Yes.
Well, I think the exact words were, "Don't think you can get away from me."
Yes, and this is so meaningful. This is so meaningful. There's so much this. Well, but you just don't understand. Of course,
No.
you don't take this so seriously.
So, well, what is the deeper meaning then? What is the deeper meaning?
Well, who would tell anyone you won't get away from me? Who would do that and why?
Yeah, good question. That's why I asked it.
Yes, just think about it. Use your brain. It's basically it's easy to understand.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, first and foremost, when it was smoke, like I say, black shadowy smoke, right
Mhm.
over the end of the bed. Then it turned into a black panther, and then the black panther launched at me, and at that stage, I was supposed to be terrified. But when the black panther landed on my chest, it was the beautiful Egyptian queen, and she looked at me surprised because I should have been terrified by that time. But I'm not terrified about astral beings, not in the slightest. And she was, "You're not afraid of me."
Hmm.
You like?
Interesting.
She says, "You like me." And I went, "Fuck, I like you." And then just before, like I say, it was like, "Don't think you can get away from me." And I went, "Not even trying." Fucking hell, with tits like that. Excuse my French. She was the most wonderful, beautiful, desirous girl I could ever imagine. You know, golden, shiny, firm skin, beautiful beyond measure, pert breasts, and wonderful Egyptian style haircut, only it was crinkle cut, like it was permed and it was red. And you know what? Many of the Egyptian pharaohs were red haired.
Mhm.
But you'll never ever hear about that in Egyptology. You will never see a red-haired pharaoh in any of the paintings, hieroglyphs in Egypt. And I've been and I've looked in Tutankhamun's tomb and many others, and you never ever see red-haired. And yet, when you go to the museum in Cairo, there's at least 70% of them are red-haired.
Interesting. I didn't hear this ever.
Yes.
Here for the first time.
Yeah, and so
So
they
she.
are reputed to be the Aryans because the Aryans were red-haired.
Oh yes. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and so she was an Aryan. She was a god of some description. She was, deeply ancestral. Black Panther, another cat. Cats are very, very revered in Egypt, and so yeah, just very bizarre. But okay, I don't think you can get away from me. Oh, I don't know what that means. I could hypothesize, but nothing springs intuitively from mind. And so you could say, well, it's a god and it's got her fetters in you, and I'm like, well, why? Who? What?
Yes. This is related to your true identity. And your true identity is hidden. It's hidden within yourself. It's your soul identity. And it's not revealed to us normally who we really are. But well, maybe we will see it. I also don't know who I am on this level. But everything you experienced, everything has a deeper meaning and a special reason. And all these women, they are related. You know them. So this one woman, you asked her who she is, and she told you she's your sister.
No, and a sister. I asked her, who are you? She said, a sister.
Yes, this is what
Yes,
I just.
not your sister, our sister. She just said a sister. And
Okay.
then I'm kind of like, after and a sister. Because in the astral, you get assisters, which assist you out of your body if you don't know how to get out. And so she did that. She put her hands under my arms and she pulled me out of my body. So she assisted me out into the astral.
She didn't say a sister.
No, she said our sister, but not your sister. Our sister. Yeah, our sister. If she was my sister, because I said to her, "What, my sister? You don't look anything like my sisters." And then started to fade, and she went away. But
Wait.
when I came out of it, I realised that she said our sister. When I asked her, "Who are you?" and she just said our sister.
Yes, but was it possibly not that she said a sister, like brother, sister?
No.
Didn't she say this? Are you sure?
Well, I just remember that she said a sister, not a sister. Because why would she say, if I said to you, "Who are you?" and she says a sister? Well, wouldn't it be much more uh, eloquent to say, "I'm your sister. I'm one of your sisters"?
Well, she didn't want to tell you who she really is.
So
That
she was basically saying, "Well, I'm a spirit just like you. I'm a sister. I'm your sister. You're my brother. We're all sisters and brothers."
yes, this is
Cosmically.
how I understood it.
Yeah.
What I suppose this to mean.
But she had
Because,
hold of my erect penis, and so there's something going on
yes,
between us.
yes, of course. So it has a meaning.
Yeah.
It has a meaning, and I am quite sure that she is not just some woman somewhere. They know exactly who you are.
Oh yeah, because I knew her. I knew her forever.
Yes, yes, this is what you wrote, and this is what I mean. She is known to you. She is like from before your birth.
Yeah.
You know her from the past,
Yeah.
before you incarnated.
Every time I go into the astral, well, every time I used to go into the astral, everybody knew who I was.
Yes,
And it was like I just slipped into somebody's body in that vicinity, and nobody would look at me as if I'm strange or anything like this. Everybody just carried on as normal. I was people's lovers and friends and different things like this. And so there's a film. It's called Being John Malkovich, and John
I know
Malkovich.
this movie. I know this
Okay,
movie.
yeah. So he used to enter. He go through this little bit of a tunnel in the
I
wall.
know, I know, I know.
Yeah, and he'd enter into other people's bodies and he'd look through their eyes. It was very much like that. When I go into astral, it's like I am being John Malkovich, and
Yes,
it's
yes.
very bizarre.
He was a puppet player. His profession of John Malkovich was
Yeah,
a puppet player, and this is actually the same as what he did when he was in the body of some person, when he crawled through this
yeah,
tunnel.
yeah,
He got into somebody's consciousness
yeah.
to control him, like a puppet player.
Right.
The same thing.
Uh-huh.
And this is actually what happens spiritually.
Are you sure about that? Because I don't remember him manipulating anybody. I remember John Malkovich talking behind somebody's eyes, just like a fly on the wall, just like an observer, not manipulating, not guiding, not doing anything, just finding himself in somebody else's head, going, "What the fuck? I'm in so and so's head." And I hope he was kind of like bit embarrassed that they'd start having sex or something because he didn't really want to be privy to that.
Well, I guess it was not so clear, but in the end, when he was in this in the end he was in this world, like he just saw himself in anyone,
Right.
and in that experience, it seemed to me as if he was in control. But okay, whatever. I can't remember. It's so long ago. I
Yeah.
didn't.
Me too.
Okay, but yes. Well, yes. In the real thing is that the spirits are, of course, not necessarily in control all the time. This is just the case when a person is possessed and really very close to the spirit. Then it's really like the spirit controls the human completely. Then, but this is not normal.
No.
It's extreme.
Yeah.
So the thing is, for example, these astral projections you had, you were brought to this place. Someone brought you to this place. It's not that you wanted to get into this room to meet this woman.
I wanted to enter the astral. I tried and tried and
Yes,
tried, and
yes,
then I had no desire, jurisdiction, intention to go anywhere. I never set my focus on going anywhere. I just
yes,
need to see what I'll just go wherever I go.
yes. And you were brought to this place. So there must be a reason. Normally in this world, you want to go to a place and then you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the astral plane, someone else did it. It's not just like you leave your body and then you are just like somewhere. No, there is a spirit who brought you to this place.
Right.
Or there's a reason why you got there, and this is related to the spirits, to many more spirits, of course, because we are observed and they make their plans. Well, they see, okay, he's doing this and they want you to do this also, and stuff, whatever. So there's huge things going on.
So what did you make of the two angels, that experience?
Oh, that was yes, I know exactly, of course. It's a very important thing. So you said that that was the meaning was about her how do you call
Wings.
her wings? Yes, of
Yeah.
course. She didn't have wings, but the male had.
Yeah.
And you interpreted this that your inner personal female part
Yeah.
would need wings.
Yeah.
Because you were too male,
Yes.
too much into your masculinity.
Yeah.
This might be the case. Yes, of course, it might be the case. But if I would experience such a thing, I don't know. So you were given this probably. I mean, you were given this idea. It
Yes,
was like
about 2 weeks later, I was given it, having been given a book from a second-hand shop on Carl Jung on archetypes. And I didn't know what archetypes were at this time. I was just picking, these books up, psychology and this, that, and the other. And then I read this one about archetypes, and angels, of course, are archetypes. And then the anima and the animus. Both of these things were in the same book, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm telling you, Edward, on my journey, every single book has been placed in my lap precisely at the right time. And
yes,
I told a scenario about being gifted a book called Zen.
yes, yes.
And this particular time, it was during my incarceration, and I went by the name of Zen because everybody knew me as this guru who was always meditating. And so I was speaking to one guy, and he was, spiritual, knowledgeable, and so we had a great conversation. And he said, "Oh, by the way, I've got a book with your name on it." He said, it was given to me a few months ago. I probably won't read it because it's not my thing. Do you want it? And I said, yeah, sure, I want it. So he brought it out and it just said Zen on the front of it. So it did indeed have my name on it. That night, I went back and I started to read it. And then within one of the first few paragraphs, it was the explanation as to faith and belief. This was the same day that I had the thing from Yahweh tell me with the illustration of the bridge. Can you make this stuff up? It's just
Yes.
too super coincidental. It's just absolutely synchronistic. It's all paved. Every single path is paved.
Of course. Of course. I mean, it's obvious. And this is how things work. There's the whole stuff of spirits that is taking care of us all the time. And all the stuff we are experiencing, I mean, it was planned. So there are spirits, imagine they're sitting on a table and then they plan your life and they plan every book you should read, and they make a list, and then they make a time plan, and you will get this book at this time and this book at this time, and you even get assistance reading and understanding the books to make sure that you are in time.
So in that case, everything is preordained.
For you. But this is not normal. This is not a regular thing. People have, most people do not have such a tight detailed plan full of so many details. This is very special. You got trained, you got taught for a certain purpose that has to come yet, but this is completely not normal at all.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very special. Anything is special. Of course.
You see, this journey from the very, very beginning was preordained. That I would have something so monumental to shake me out of the ego that I was in, and to send me crashing down to ground zero where I had to start from scratch, because the cosmos has said to me, you've had a great run, you've traveled 45 countries, you've been all over the world, you've slept with beautiful women, you've done all this stuff. Now you've got to fulfill your journey, and so we're going to take you back, we're going to put you into the dark night of the soul. You're not going to be traumatized, because during that period I wasn't depressed, I was just numb. I was just numb, like a zombie, just going to look for these books. Why was I looking for these books? I'm like, what the fuck am I looking for these books for? They're boring as fuck. And I'll just read them and read them and read them and read them, and writing down all the words I didn't know, and write them down, and have a dictionary next to me. I was like a man possessed. I've been possessed for the past 14 years, Edward. There's no doubt about it. And I'm getting angry now because I don't know why.
Sorry. Well, the truth is coming up. What can you do about it?
Yeah, what can I do about it? For the first time in my life now, I'm feeling that everywhere I go, I'm super high conscious. I am aware of every muscle in my body moving, of everything I see, of every angle I move, of every footstep I take, of the attitude of my body. I am super conscious and aware. And the other night I made a video where I'm speaking about something's looking through my eyes. It's not me, Aaron Berry, the ego. There's something else looking through my eyes, like eternal cosmos. And I first experienced this about, I don't know, 7 years ago on psilocybin. I instantly realized that something's looking through my eyes. I became aware of something gathering data through my eyes, and it lasted for about 2 minutes. And I'm like, who the fuck's that? Who is that? Spirit, higher self, cosmic consciousness using this avatar? And now it's like it all the time. I know it's there all the time. It's looking, it's using my body to gather everything. And that's why I think we are Earth rovers. We are just on a reconnaissance mission, gathering for source.
Well, you are special, and the fact that you know this with your intuition, yes. Yeah. This is also very special. So spirits are with us, of course, with everyone, and not just one spirit. Multiple spirits are with everyone, and this is even necessary because every human being has a life plan. Every human being has a plan for life. Some plans are more, some are less detailed. Some have lots of freedom, and some are very, very tough, very tightly planned, like yours in the last, probably your whole life. So, okay, this is special, and you know this only because you have to You are supposed to know this. It is given to you.
You know, today, Edward, I made a video in the churchyard again, and I find myself, against my volition, against my common sense, speaking so haughtily that I should offend everybody, you know, with my massive ego and my self-importance. But I
Yeah.
tell people that I am God. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't believe that you're God, I'm a self-realized shard of God consciousness. I'm not the God. I am a God in as much as that I am a fully conscious, enlightened being, and I know what I am. And I know that I'm on a reconnaissance mission, and I know that I'm gathering information and I'm imparting information. I'm obsessed with it. Every single day I can just do videos. And the ego's like, why? I don't even care what people think. And they're all too stupid anyway to get what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is coming from somewhere vastly higher than the general cognition of the population. And there's barely a single person that ever gets one of my videos. They just don't get it, and there's no way anyone's going to cognize my book to the full extent. It's just too deep. It's too out there. It's too involved. You know, and every single page in that book, there's so much depth. If you can imagine 14 years of my life, how I've lived it, crammed into 470 pages, you know, it's just too much. And you know, when people read it, that they, unless they have had very similar experiences, they're never going to grasp it. They're never even going to come close. I live in a different world, and in this video today, I'm like, look, I'm like a queen bee. Everybody, the whole world is feeding me. I don't do nothing. I haven't worked in 14 years. I don't intend to. I never will. The cosmos is giving me a job to do. This is my job, and I will get paid for it. Everything I need. I will never need anything above my station. I don't get hundreds of thousands of pounds. Don't get me wrong. I get just enough. And whenever I've got no money, then more money comes. It always just comes. I'm always catered for. So today I recited an excerpt from the Bible when Jesus says to, or God says to, I think it's God on this occasion. Maybe one of Jesus's sayings from God. It's like you know, when the apostles are worried about where they're going to get food and shelter from, and then Jesus starts saying, "Look, do you think the birds worry where
Yes,
they are
of
going
course.
to
I
roost?
know this.
Do
I
you
know.
think the fish worry? And
Yes.
why
Yeah.
should you, the sons of God, you know, worry? Just believe, have faith, and everything will come to you." And I'm like, well, look, I do believe. I absolutely love, and I have a connection, but it isn't with the Yahweh that, you know, is in the Bible. It's something vastly over and above that. And when the Gnostics speak about the demiurge, that's what it sounds like to me. I'm go, yeah, they got it. They knew what it was. That Yahweh guy in the Old Testament is the demiurge. Have you read the Gnostics, what they say about Yahweh?
Yes. So I suppose so. I looked up the term demiurge.
Yeah.
I was not. Of course I heard it or something, but I wanted to look it up again to be sure that I understand it correctly. And the definition is basically the ruler of this world, something. So with demiurge, it's not a category, but
Well,
it's
the
just
demiurge is a lesser god. It's not the full god. The demiurge, demi, you know, is half or smaller. And the
yes.
demiurge things, this Yahweh creature, is supposed to be a descendant of the Anunnaki.
So in the Gnostic scriptures, the demiurge is Jal Badeoth.
Yes,
This is
yeah, Yahweh or whatever.
Yahweh. Okay, sorry, I don't know how to.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to spell it. Yahweh, but yes, that thing.
Yes, and what the stories of the Old Testament, they look as if they fit. It fits to the personality that Jal Badeoth is supposed to have.
Yes.
That would be a match. It does not fit to this like loving,
No,
generous.
No,
it doesn't.
it's envious,
Yes,
it's hateful, it's spiteful,
yes,
it's murderous, it's all this stuff. It is no way by any stretch of the imagination an all loving God. It's
yes,
preposterous.
yes, yes, yes. That's true, and it. Well, so I'm beyond that. I am beyond that. The Bible for me is just a mixture of so many stories of different sources, and this what they call God or Yahweh. This must not necessarily be Yahweh. Yes, and Yahweh is just a name. So God's real name is not Yahweh. This is the name He gave.
I am that I am, according to
Yeah,
Moses.
supposedly He gave this name to someone. We don't know this, but okay, probably He did. Maybe okay, let's say this. But the true name of God is a different one, and we don't know this name. It's secret. So never anyone will get to know this name. Only, well, maybe someone like Jesus like being would maybe possibly know his true name, but this is not his true name. And when I hear this, I am that I am, yes, or who I am.
Yeah.
For me, it sounds like I have a completely different association. To me, it sounds like, okay, people are coming to me and they ask me, what is your name? What is your name? And okay, let's say I am God. Okay. I don't say that, but
But
it doesn't.
but Edward, don't you think you are a child of God?
Yes, of course I am, but I'm even more than that. I am in my deepest core. I am a part of God, a shard of God, and connected to God, and even beyond. I mean, I have God. I have Him within myself, and this is my own God, and I believe that every human being has his own God, while all of these gods are literally the same and they are one at the same time and they are identical, but still everyone has his own God.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, and the thing is, you will remember from my book that I conjoin God with consciousness. I say it's
Yes.
synonymous because we have no idea what the concept and notion of God is. We have no idea what the concept and notion of consciousness is. So I say that they are then inseparable. They're only separated by concepts. Like everything here is, you see, there's no separation here. Brahman says there's no separation, it's all God. But what we've done to create the illusion of a world that we can all live in separately and individually, then we've labeled everything with concepts and we've created this separatism. But of course, there's no separatism, it's all one. It can't possibly be separate. And just to have a little indication of this is when you look at this tiny blue dot, which was the photo sent back by one of the Voyager or Cassini missions. As this craft was going past Pluto, it sent back this picture of the Earth. Well, when we look at that, we can see that it's just a flea on the back of a beast, which is the cosmos. And so, how can we think we are separate? It's just so ridiculous.
Well, you have deep insights, and this is also not normal. And so I understand you completely. I understand you, but still, my path was different. I was taught things differently in a different way. But I mean, we are the same. Yes, we are part of the same consciousness, and the goal, the aim is the same, of course, nothing else. And we have much more in common that we have in common with probably, I mean, the overwhelming majority of humanity. So it's a miracle that we can talk
Yes, I mean, it is one in a million that can, have a conversation which is remotely in line with each other. Today, one of the videos I made, I just downloaded something for the first time, and I'm reciting Jesus, and I'm saying, look, Jesus is always saying that, we have the Christos, because Jesus wasn't called Jesus Christ, of course, at that time. That's a name was given because it is the Messiah, the chosen one, who had the Christos. That's what Jesus Christ means. The chosen one, the Messiah who had Christos, who had the concept and notion and spirit of God within him. And so when Jesus is always saying that, we all have potentially the Christos, I'm like, well, what else do we all have? Potentially. Not everybody has it. Not everybody has a level of consciousness that some of us enlightened ones have. Because there's many, many people that would never ever grasp what we're speaking about. They don't even have an internal monologue, let alone a dialogue. I have an internal dialogue, so I have double what most people have. Go figure out why that is. And I also have a very, very finely attuned intuition, which tells me so much more about the world than the senses of the human being. And so, evidently, I'm of a higher disposition or race. And I would even go too far to say, well, I speculate that I could be Anunnaki. There's some of us which are born to lead, and that's why there's different hierarchical systems. I've chosen not to be one of them because they're nefarious and manipulative, and I ain't about manipulating anybody. I'm just about telling, what I consider to be truths and facts, in a loosely sort of connotation, even though I don't believe there's any truth and facts, because ultimately there isn't. But because we're having a human experience, then you have to speak like this. You have to use words with like believe and things like that and truth when they're just concepts and they don't exist really. But there's very few people that are going to get their heads around the where I'm coming from. And every day it's just with my videos, just the odd comment, barely anybody even grasps a little bit. They just don't get into what I'm really saying, the depth of what I'm saying. And so what I said today, Christos says the Christ said, Christos is within you. What is within you? What is without you? There's one thing that's all pervasive that cannot be denied, and it is called consciousness. We cannot deny consciousness. Everybody and everything is in it, and everybody has a shard of it to a lesser degree. How do ants build their colonies? How do ants go to war? How do butterflies caterpillars turn into a chrysalis and dissolve their whole body and come out? There's a magic that's going on, and it's all within the magic of this soup, which is called consciousness. And then at a lower level, we start speaking about, oh, you've got this fluid running up you. It's called the Christos. And when it comes up from the lower chakra, it comes up into the third eye and it goes pop. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. It's just all fantasy and it's all dreams in the mind of God. There is none of that stuff going on. There's just God dreaming.
Well, yes. So the body has energy centers, of course.
Well, you say of course, but on what level? Because the whole thing is just energy. This computer's energy, this carton of juice is energy. There's nothing here except energy, and so of course we have energy centers. Every single cell is a cosmos to itself.
Yes, I mean these things, these details, I think they do matter, and if we make spiritual exercise, so I don't exactly know what you're doing, though yes, I know it. I tell you what I'm doing. Basically, I work on the third eye. So I do many things, many things, not just one exercise. And I try to do it all the time, like 24/7. This is my intention, okay? And I switch between them. But this here, the so-called third eye, which is even in the Bible, this is it's a basic point. Yes, and it might even be connected to the pineal gland
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, and okay, there is definitely something going on here that is absolutely important for our ability to perceive higher subtle spiritual things. There is something here, and it has to be cleaned, it has to be developed. There is something.
I've never felt anything.
Okay, I understand that.
You know,
I
look,
yes,
how I get my information, Edward, is by an expanse of consciousness where I just know it. And
yes.
there's so many times when I just think about something as if I absolutely know it to be correct. And then the next video, I'll be watching someone speaking about it. And I'm like, well, I was told exactly that. I already knew that. And so when we are more evolved, we know everything. And this is what DMT tells us when we go into the deepest realms. It tells us that we are the everything. There is nothing else. There's just you. And the first DMT breakthrough I went into, I ended up into pure white expanse, like a white room, only I never saw any walls. It was just white, pure white. And it had a very maternal, motherly feel about it. And within this place, there was one Y. It was a Y, it stood about 8 feet tall, and it had bright colored circles like this in it. And in the circles were numbers. And these circles were like M&M sweets. You know, these kid sweets? Very bright round sweets. And this Y shaped, it was like spongy, and it was also white. It was circular, and it was kind of like, soft and spongy, and it went up about 8 feet tall. And I was told within that it is you, it's been you forever and ever, and you're all that there is. And I didn't feel lonely in the slightest. I just went, fuck, it's all been me. And then I started to come back from that experience, and I put my arms out as if, mother, mother, no, don't let me go, don't let me go. And I came back, and I came back, and I'm like, no, no, I'm back in the human world. I was back in the womb. I was back in the womb, man. I'm telling you, where everything is just God. It was the mind of God. I was perplexed as to what that was. And again, about 2 weeks later, I'm thinking. Then all of a sudden, I'm in bed one night. I'm lying in bed, and I go, I've got it. It's DNA. It's DNA. And so it goes on the computer, and I put in Y chromosome. And it's exactly the same shape, soft, white, round, and fluffy type. It's the Y chromosome. It was telling me that's what I am, male. I'm male. I'm a human male. And the M&Ms with numbers in them were the DNA. Go figure what this DMT stuff shows us and tells us. Look at what he just told me in that small scenario that I went into the womb of my mother, consciousness, the cosmos. It's all me. It's only me. Because look, how it's only me. It's all me. Because when I come here, I've got my consciousness, which I can't share with anybody. And you and everybody else is in my consciousness. So, of course, it's all me. Now, if any of you exist, then it's all you also. But the chances are, maybe none of you exist. Maybe I am experiencing solipsism, and there is only me. I am God. I am dreaming all this stuff, and I'm dreaming Edward, and I'm dreaming Edward wrote a book, and all this stuff. It just seems like a dream, Edward, because when we're in a dream, it's indistinguishable.
Okay, there is no, I will talk about it also in this video. There is no contradiction to say that there is just one consciousness, and still you and me are separated from each other in our perception. Still we can have, there can be two different perspectives. So I say I am, you say I am, but still your I am is my I am. It's the same I am. It's still the same.
Yeah.
So it's no contradiction. let's say it's your dream, it's my dream, it's our dream. And in this attitude, in this idea, I'm still real like you are. And still we are one. And still this is all one consciousness. Still, it's not a contradiction. You do not have to think necessarily assume that I am just an empty kind of projection. So imagine the projections are conscious. Why shouldn't they be conscious? I mean, everything is conscious. Consciousness is everywhere. Why should all these projections around you not have also a part of this consciousness?
Well, let me tell you why I think it is. Because look, when we dream at night, we dream of avatars. And let's just say last night, I was dreaming all different sorts of stuff, and there's all different sorts of characters in my dream, and it all seemed so very, very real. And then I woke up to go to the toilet, and oh, that was just a dream. But it seemed absolutely indistinguishable to this dream now. Now, when I met those characters in my dream, they're no different to the character I'm now speaking to. I'm not speaking to a human being, Edward. I am listening to a computer which is building a simulation of a face and a simulation of a voice. I am not communicating with a human being. The facts are I'm not. Whatever you are, if you are a real human being and you really are in a country called Germany, then you are speaking into a speaker, and by magic, your face and your words are getting sucked into this computer, and then they're going thrown up in the sky, and they're coming in a few milliseconds from 1,000 miles away, and they're coming down into my computer, and that's you. That's a stretch of the imagination. When we look at things like that, we can very easily dispute the reality. And some people think it's dangerous because you'll end up going mad. But I have a certain rational thinking about it. You are not human, as far as I'm concerned. There's no communication that I've ever had with you as a human being. You've sent me text, and now you are pixels, and you're some sort of crazy thing coming through a speaker.
But we will meet probably.
Well, one day when we do, we'll go, aha. So, that was all Maya. That was all Maya. Now this is the real thing. But Edward, this is Maya, isn't it? This is a form of Maya. Of course it is. It's illusion because it's not real. And that's
Yes.
what Maya is all premised on. Maya, it just means that nothing is outside of God. If you think things are separate, that's Maya. But things are going on, but whatever's going on is going on in the mind of God, in the dream of God, because there's no physical reality here. And now, that would be, you would have grounds for rejection if it was only Eastern gurus, with their, silly bald heads and their silly robes and their bowl of rice. People can, really demean them and think that they don't know anything. But then our gurus are in suits and driving Rolls Royces and BMWs, the creme de la creme, the quantum physicists. Well, they tell us the same thing. Only they've got all this equipment and all this money and all this funding, when you've got a little old guru 2,000 years ago came to the same conclusion.
Well, as you say, we are caught in Maya. But that doesn't mean that there is just Maya. There is consciousness. So there is truth. It's just another layer. Maya is a layer. And there are many, many Maya layers in different...
There are many kingdoms there are many mansions in my father's kingdom. And so
Yes.
look, the mansions, what I interpret the mansions to be is states of consciousness. Because when Jesus says there are many mansions in my father's kingdom, well, what could that really mean? But as Jesus was always speaking in metaphor, then let's look at it metaphorically. There are many mansions in my Father's kingdom. Well, what's your Father's kingdom? He has to be conscious because he's made all us conscious. So, varying states of consciousness in God. Well, I can vouch for that because I've been into the astral, I've been into some crazy psychedelic places, I've been in the deep meditative places, I've seen all different sorts of consciousness. So I've been in many, many mansions of God's kingdom. This is God's kingdom. And there are many mansions in here. There are many tiers, many levels. Do you think that's more feasible? Do you think it's very rational? Because look, most people will just think I'm absurd. They think, I'm probably crazy. And people say I'm actually crazy because I've got these dreadlocks and I've got this beard and I look mad. I say to them, Einstein looked mad because he never had this fucking conforming hairstyle, but he wasn't mad. And that's
of course not. Of course. I mean, of course. Yes, of course. I mean, of course. There are different layers and types of Maya, of course. And the astral plane is a whole kind of dimension. It's like stepping up one level towards reality. It's still Maya, but it's another level of Maya.
Yeah.
Yes, it's brighter, it's more detailed, it's wider. Yes, but it's still Maya.
When I went out into the astral, Edward, the first 4 or 5 times they were dark, grainy, and sinister.
Yes.
On the very lowest level, and there were these shadow beings that tried to intimidate you, to scare you, to prevent you from going back. I
Yes.
wasn't scared by them. I went past them, and every time I went into the astral, I went to a higher and higher level until, in the end, the last 2 or 3, there were no shadow beings there at all. It was just the most glorious, beautiful, wonderful, technicolor, brilliant summer's day. And the 3 most wonderful women, absolutely the dream. One blonde, one brunette, and one redhead in beautiful summer flowing dresses. And they were coming to see me like they were all my lovers. And they didn't care or weren't jealous about anybody else. It was all about, my wildest fantasies coming true.
Yes. Okay.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon about that?
What means reckon?
Or what do you think? What do you think? How do you cogitate that? Because look, the astral planes for me was all sexual connotations.
Yes.
The Egyptian woman, then the 2 women pulling me out of bed and having a threesome with me, and then there's another woman that took me by the hand and took me to bed, and all these sort of things. And I'm like, well, look. It is said that there's evil demons and they prey on you, and when the demons they come in the shape of a beautiful woman to drain your energy. Nobody ever drained my energy. Nobody,
Yes.
nothing ever drained an ounce of my energy. Complete bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. I had wonderful experiences, which I'll never forget till the day I die. And there wasn't a single bit which was more sinister than just a silly little kid putting a mask on trying to scare you. These shadow beings, they mean nothing. They're nothing. They're so low. They're so below us. The human being is very, very powerful.
Yes. Yes. There is one thing I want to say to you. Whatever you experienced, whatever you have seen, it is nearly nothing in comparison to what you will experience and will see and what is coming to you, because it is so huge and so wide and so big and so limitless. And you can be sure, I mean, okay, call it some kind of pseudo prophecy, okay, I just tell it from the heart. you in 10 years looking back to the state you have now, you will say, oh my God, worlds. I've passed worlds. I've passed so many stages. My consciousness has been it's widened. It's unbelievable. There's so much in front of us that has to come yet. So much. And all of this, what you have experienced, is such a small, little,
Yeah,
very,
the
very
fleeting
tiny part.
abilities. In this second coming of Christ, there was a section that I read yesterday, and it's talking about the astral plane and the causal plane, and they're
Yes.
saying in the causal plane, the definition and the things that you can do, all you've got to do is think, and you'll manifest everything. Well, I've had a little bit of that, and so I can have an adherence and a belief to that. I've been to the astral on 12 times, and so I know how wonderful that can be. And so, if the causal dimension is even higher, and you can manifest whatever you want in a higher state of consciousness, well, it sounds like that could be some level of heaven or something.
Well, yes, of course. Yes, of course. It's limitless. It's limitless. The astral plane is like, well, the physical cosmos is like a corn of dust in comparison to the astral plane, and the whole astral plane is again just like a corn of dust in comparison to the causal plane. It's like multiplying, like boom. It's so much more. It's
So,
unbelievable.
so where are you speaking from when you say these things? What
Wow.
knowledge do you have?
Well, again, I can tell you, I wouldn't talk like this if I would not have had experiences related to this.
Okay.
Well, I'm not a talker.
Yeah. So that of course I have to ask that question, and I don't expect you to elaborate on that because of some sort of code of ethics that you have. I'll accept that, but if you say that, then I'm going to go, okay, well, I'll just have to have a faith that you've been there, and maybe one day you'll talk to me about these things, because obviously, if I'm revealing all of my stories and all of my experiences, and then when I say to you, what are yours? And then you say, I've got a code of ethics whereby I can't talk about mine. Well, it's kind of like it's all me again. And that all that does, Edward, is increases my notion of solipsism. Because as much as you proclaim to have all these stories like me, you can't tell me about them. And so I go, yeah, well, that's the oldest trick in the book, isn't it?
No, wait. Okay, first, when you read my book, just in the beginning, you will find, well, some experiences that I am allowed to talk about. So it's not, what did you just say, for ethics? So
Yeah.
it's not about ethics. It's suppression. It's like someone is holding a gun here on my head, and he says, if you tell anyone anything, I will shoot you down and kill you.
Wow. Who is this dude?
Negative powers are doing this.
Right.
This is like some kind of condition or contract or whatever. Yes, and if I don't hold on to this, and in the past I did this, then I will have to bear consequences. And these are horrible consequences, because these evil beings, they are so horrible, and it's unimaginable. Okay, so if you read my books, you will see that one of my core competency is the negative power. Yes, this is something where you will find information that you will find nowhere else. So whenever you read my stuff, use your brain. Yes, compare to your own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You know that your experience was real.
Yeah.
So this is where you started. Now you compare, and then you will see that what I say is not a contradiction to what you have experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Alexander Ibn.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
Ibn
true?
Alexander.
Huh?
Ibn Alexander.
Ibn Alexander, yes.
Yeah.
You read that book, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you think his story is true?
I think it's very feasible, yes.
So, why?
Because it seems to come from a completely honest place.
Why do you come to this conclusion? If someone else, any Christian, most Christians reading this book, they will tell you it's nonsense.
Yeah.
But you not, and I not. I say this is 100% true.
Intuitively, there's nothing that I've got any doubt about with what he says. He's he's a real deal. He stands on stage and he tells these things all over the world, and wrote all these books about it and everything like that. And it's these just dumb Christians that have been indoctrinated to think that everything's evil and everything's the devil if it's not written in the Bible. And it's just hypnosis. It's just plain as day. And it's very sad that these books have got these people gripped. But then I say to myself, well, it's not really that sad because they're very, very stupid, dull, empty people, and so they are almost husks. They don't have any spirit, so it's not sad because this cosmos has a way of placing people which have the wherewithal to do the job. Now, all these Christians, they've got nothing. They never will have anything, and they ain't going to sit on the no side of Christ because they haven't got the first fucking clue what Christ is or what anything is. They just don't have the wherewithal. They just think if they read a few pages in the Bible, then that's all they need to do. They're stupid, they're ignorant, and ain't no God respecting them. And all through the Old Testament, all God did was smite those fucking idiots day and night. And they're going to do no different if the final reaping comes. They ain't going to be chosen. We're going to be chosen. The clever ones, the smart ones, the intuitive ones, the ones with God consciousness are going to be the ones that are going to be reaped. If anyone's going to be reaped, good God, what would you want to reap those pile of shit for?
Well, yes.
At the end of the day, look, I just got to tell it why it is, how it is, and I consider I can speak with absolute impunity. I don't ever have any reserve or any guilt or any conscience about telling it the way it is, and I don't care who gets hurt by the words I say, because my words are not punitive or painful or harmful to anybody unless they want them to be, unless they take them on board, unless their stupid ego, shadow, ignorant egos are offended. And those people, well, they'll get offended by everything. They get offended by somebody, if you don't call me Shirley, if I've got a little bit of lipstick on, then I'm offended by you because I am a Shirley. I want to be a Shirley and I am a woman, There's people like this on this planet. You know it.
Yes.
And so they're the same sort of sickos as these Christians and Muslims. They're all mental. They're all of a very, very low conscious echelon. And many people, very, very clever people, they've all said it, Edward. None of them have been kind to these people. They all treat them with the contempt that they deserve. And that's why the people that run this earth, and I don't necessarily think they're evil at all, I just think they've got different ideas, because they look at these absolute fools and they actually are goyim. They are cattle. They are nothing more. They're empty here. They're basically just automaton operating on a program. They're not real human, heartfelt people. They just operate on programs of emotion, and they get hysterical and this, that, and the other. But if you ask them to describe, what it really felt like to look at a rose, they couldn't tell you. Why? Because they haven't got a fucking clue. If you ask an intelligent conscious person, what they see when they look at a rose, they'll tell you they see the cosmos. They'll tell you they see God. They'll tell you they see joy, love, and every possible thing. They'll tell you they see everything. But one of these idiots, they'll go, it's a rose. And that's it. That's where it ends. I'm not being sympathetic. I'm not being overly punitive. And when the reaping comes, all those fuckers are gone. I'm telling you now, because the people that know what's going on don't need them anymore. They've got robots, but they are going to be needing people like you and I who can think about what's going on.
Well,
of course, I say a lot of radical stuff, and learning about how you think in your book, how using profanity and judgment and things like this aren't conducive with being in the kingdom of God. I know what the kingdom of God is, and I am actually in the kingdom of God, and God, the real God, doesn't have a problem with me saying what I do, because everything I do is for God, via God. And so that's why I'm just operating with impunity. I don't have to worry about thumbs down or, people assassinating me or, people hating on me. None of it matters. None of it matters.
Yes. Why should it? I mean, why should it?
Exactly.
People, if someone watches your videos, it's his decision. Why should he be responsible for his emotions?
Yeah.
If he doesn't like it, then he should not watch it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
In the old days, to say like 10, 20 years ago, there was lots more people like me around. You got the people like Christopher Hitchens, people like oh, I can't think of his name now, but people that had no time for religion, because it was these are proper educated people. They wrote 100 books, and the Hitchin brothers. There's Christopher and Peter. I think Peter's still living now. Very very high intellectuals, educated at Eton University or something like that in Britain. But there's lots more people that are very very vocal like that, and because they couldn't get cancelled. But now this stupid cancel culture has got everybody terrified of saying anything. But there's nothing to cancel here, and this thing's too powerful to get cancelled in any case.
Yes. Well, I don't know. When maybe you misunderstood something. So when you will read my books and get the whole picture, then it will be easier for you to understand my point of view.
Yeah.
So I understand your point, and I just don't want to get into this rant emotion. So I rant, yes, I do, but I'm not focused on stupid people. Okay. I mean, stupidity is a fact. Yes. There are different grades of intelligence. There are stupid people. I know this, of course. And well, yes, all of these things. But what did I want to say, actually? I just forgot it.
Well, let me try to help you out. You were sort of speaking about I would best to read.
Oh yes,
before I
yes.
start. But let me just say, I know where you're coming from, because I went through a period where I didn't swear at all, because I thought to myself, well, when we do swear, these swear words have negative energy. They do. They have negative energy, and when we say them, we project our negative energy onto other people. Because even if we're blokes down the pub, and someone's fucking, even the best of us can get tired of hearing that. And it's not the hearing of it; it's feeling where the energy is coming from. When people use profanities like cunt and fuck, like I often do. But you see, I'm very dichotomous. I'll make videos where I won't swear at all, and then I'll make another video which is in a different energy, it's a different spirit, it's being delivered by something else. But I know, how to get into the kingdom of God. I know that the ways in which are going to prevent you is ranting, is considering people to be idiots, is swearing, and all these different sorts of things. This is why gurus go to caves, monks go to monasteries, nuns go to nunneries. They go to the solitude because nobody is going to be getting into the kingdom of God or working in the city. They just ain't doing it. Because of all the negative energy from many, many things, from all different sorts of negative spirits and the whole negative succubus draining of human energy, the whole evil thing of that. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so ain't nobody getting into the kingdom of God in the city. You've got to go out into nature. You've got to go out on your own, and you've got to be quiet and you disengage from the human being, because the human being's too conflictory.
Yes. I understand and I agree. So the thing is that I personally, when I get angry, I am angry about evil. I am not normally, in nearly any case, okay, I'm not particularly angry on any kind of entity for any reason. I am angry about evil. So take the devil. I'm not angry on the devil. I'm angry on his evilness, on his evil energy, because the so-called devil, he is not necessarily evil. He was, at some time, he was good. He was fine. He was brilliant. He was shining. He was wonderful. And he got evil.
Well, I have a different perspective on that. You see, because from the very beginning, when God cast him down, why did God cast him down? Because he had a different idea. And the God that's in the Old Testament doesn't like anybody with their own ideas. He didn't like Adam and Eve to even have one idea. That's why he made them stupid as they come. But he was a horrible, heinous variety of God, because he put a tree in the Garden of Eden which would give God rise to chastise them and throw them out and banish them, and then flood the whole world and do any number of abomination. What did Satan the serpent do? He just said, by the way, if you do eat from that tree, you won't die. He's lying. You will have knowledge like they do. That's all he said. What's evil about that? And then if we go on and people say, well, he's made people evil and he gives people ideas. He gives people ideas over the full spectrum. God never gave anybody an idea. He didn't give nobody an idea. And all he did from the New Testament, of the Old Testament, from the beginning to the end, was bully, 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 bully. You'll do this and you'll do that, or I'll smite you. So who was the evil one? Come on, people. This makes me sick to the teeth. Look, and when we look at the devil just makes suggestions. I've had the devil or very negative energies offering me suggestions. I said, no, thanks. But if people take them, then they could be considered, oh, the devil was in them. No, that they were human. At the end of the day, they had choices. And so the devil, as far as I can see, is just offering a choice. And choices, we evolve from choices, Edward. We evolve from trauma. All the trauma in my life, you could say, well, the devil brought it about. Well, I've grown exponentially. I've become more and more powerful, more enlightened, more intuitive, more everything positive. So thanks, Satan.
Well, this is a complex topic. It's really a huge topic, and it's very difficult to talk about it quickly, shortly, and just check, and that's it. So again, my core competency is exactly in that space, evil. This is where I have my core competency. This is what I'm really focused on, evil. Evil spirits, what they do, how they work, what is their consciousness, what are their intentions, how do they live, where are they, where do they come from, and what is this conflict?
Yeah, you
Yes.
say that's your competency, meaning that that's what you're the best at and what you know the most at. Well, you also must be aware that where your energy flows, your what is it? Energy flows, attention goes. And so where your energy flows, your attention goes, or where your attention goes, your energy flows. So you're self-creating your own reality.
No. That's not true.
Right.
It's not that I attracted or created evil, but evil is chasing me. Okay, it's chasing me.
Right.
I'm forced. Evil is forced onto me. It forces itself onto me. I have no choice, and this is my fate. This is my path.
Well, why would you think evil's chasing you when evil?
I don't think it. It's real.
Right.
It's happening. It's reality.
Right.
What should I say? I mean, I know some things. Of course, many things are in the dark. But if I could and would tell you all the stories, then okay, you would be shocked. You would really be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't, according to your book, you have just a little bit experience with evil. So you had this 666 night,
Yeah,
like these 18 hours,
mm-hmm.
where you felt where everything was evil.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then you had this fight, this combat,
Mm-hmm.
that lasted about 2 months.
Yeah.
In the prison cell in Mexico. Yes.
It was in America, in Arizona, but where most of the inmates were Mexican.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought it was in Mexico. It was in Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
No.
My fault. Okay, this was your experience. But actually, this is like, well, it's just the surface of evil. It's just very, very superficial. You had your experiences, but they were not, you did not have enough experience to come to a point where you say, actually, there is, these entities are in existence and they are real and they are conscious and this and that. So you only if you have experiences, you need to make experiences to come to this thing, and you didn't have them. So this is why you say, you believe, you think hell is just a state.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. But of course, if a person has an experience like being in some kind of a hell, then this person has, of course, a different perspective. And you did not have this experience yet. Okay? But it doesn't mean that you cannot have it. For some reason, you did not have such experiences. It has a certain reason. You should not have such experiences. Normally, most people are not supposed to see evil. Never, ever. Evil is hiding. And no one gets to see these things because it's a secret. Yes, they hide. Because if people would have such experience, they would, of course, change their behavior. Of course, naturally. But people, they do not take it seriously. They say, oh, yes, evil and good and blah, blah, blah. But actually, the true face of evil is so shocking. And what you experienced, I know, you wrote, it was so horrible. It was such a nightmare and it was unbearable. But multiply this with 1,000, multiply it with 10,000. Because evil is limitless. Okay? The darkness is limitless. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And this, what you experience, this 666 experience, yes? So I want to tell you what I suppose this what happened. This is very simple, very easy. So there was an evil spirit that possessed you for 18 hours. And you knew this. You felt you are possessed. You were possessed. From my point of view, you were definitely possessed, but just for 18 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And this was planned. It was not the intention of the spirit to possess you on a long term, yes, but just for these 18 hours to give you this specific experience. That was there was some reason. This evil, he wanted, you should just experience this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and he projected his own evilness into anything around you. They just projected. Yes, it's a projection. So
Mm-hmm.
everything was evil, but in the reality, it was the spirit within you that you were possessed with. It was his own darkness that you saw outside, but you didn't perceive the spirit in you. You didn't see the spirit, but nonetheless, the spirit was there, and this spirit has a body. Yes, he has a character, a personality. He has a life. He has an intention. He has a family. He has a past. He has a future. He has a memory. He has powers. He has knowledge. It's a completely independently living creature like you and like me, and very, very, very old creature. And he knows what he is doing. He was with you for a certain reason. It was, you were not in hell. This is not hell. This is just, you were just possessed, and evil showed you a little bit of what it can do to you. But this is just a little bit. It can do so much more to you. It can give you so much more hell and pain and show you and do anything to you. This was just superficial. It was just like a bonbon.
Mm-hmm.
Petit four. Evil has given you a small petit four to show you, okay, this is evil. I am evil. I'm real.
Well,
But
that's kind of like the same sort of thing that when Jehovah showed me his bit, Jesus showed me his bit, the angels showed me their bit. So they've all
yeah,
shown me a bit.
yes, they show you a bit for a certain reason.
Mm.
They want to take influence on you. And this, I mean, this is their right. And this is how it works. In the end, you make the last decision. You make the decision. You have to choose the path. Yes. And everyone is coming to you and shows you something. So, but yes, but this is not the state you had. This is not hell. Not at all.
No.
Not at all. And well, so there are so there's so much you can experience.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, I
much.
don't doubt that it's very, very deep. It's very, very broad. And so we've
Yes.
done 2 hours and 46 minutes now.
Yes. Okay.
So probably best to wrap this one up. But again, there's so much to speak about. And so I'll continue to read your book. So I've got a better insight. And we'll do another chat, and then you can speak more about different facets of my book.
Yes.
And I'll do the same.
Yes. I just one more thing, okay? Just one more thing. So about this topic that I am not allowed to talk about my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
If so, you are smart, and I'm smart, okay, to a certain degree. We are smart enough to talk, and we should be smart enough to read between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And if we spend time together talking, communicating, then you will see I will get you into this. So like some kind of code or something, I will tell you things, and by time you will be able to read between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I will do this. I will give you information and say things. And when you try to read between the lines, then you will more and more get aware that I am telling you what I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
If you just think, use your brain, yes, and listen, then you will get this information. And at a certain point, you will know it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, I will tell you my experiences without telling my experiences. This is possible, but it needs some time,
Yeah.
patience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that important, to extract all the details, particularly if they're the terrible ones, because who wants to hear those? Um,
You should want to know this. I mean, this is important.
well, it's kind of like you know lots of people tell me, well, not lots of people, there's several people that tell me that I've had all these terrible things, and if I told you and this that and the other. Well, I mean, I suppose it's like watching horror movies. You watch an amount of those and your head gets filled with all this gore, and does anyone
No.
really want to see that? Most people shy away from it, don't they?
Well, that's not what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
I do not want to tell you details.
Yeah.
This is not the thing. This is not my intention. There are so many things
Yeah.
to tell and to experience about evil and these entities and this whole conflict between good and evil.
Well, do you have any good to balance the evil? Because it sounds like it's mostly all evil.
Evil is dominating Earth, but still there are also many powers, good powers, lots of good powers. So there are much more evil powers, and evil is more powerful, much more powerful, working currently. Yes, but still there are lots of good spirits, and even very, very strong, very powerful, good spirits are also on Earth. It has to be like this because if they wouldn't be here, then we would have hell on Earth.
Mhm.
So the only reason why we have this life and there is not hell on Earth is because there are so many powerful spirits, or less powerful spirits, of course, working like 24/7.
So do you think over the long run that the world is going to free itself of negative energy? Do you think that's possible? Because lots of people speak about negative energies in power. Do you think that they are negative energies in power? Do you think that good will victor like the apocalypse over the negatives?
Well, we are supposed to overcome evil. This is our fate. This is the plan, okay? And it will happen. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it will happen because we have to overcome evil to become really perfect. I mean, to unfold the whole potential. We need to overcome evil. It's necessary. We will not pass on to the higher stages unless we have overcome evil.
Mm.
This is a necessity, and this is our fight. We have to go through this combat, through this fight. The whole humanity, yes, it's a part of it, but we get help. We need help, of course, from the spirits, from God. It's like teamwork.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, all right. Well, on that note, then we'll wrap this one up and see what
Yes.
Zvia's got to think about this.
Yes. Thank you. So you could cut it into pieces.
Yeah,
This video.
um, I could do. It's a lot of time and effort, but I leave it to the people. They can watch it in two. They can watch it in 10 if they want to. I don't want to treat children. I don't want to treat them like children. I don't want to be their mother. I put the video up there, and if they want to watch it, they watch it.
Okay, fine.
All right, Edward. So another great chat. I'll speak to you soon, and in the interim, enjoy yourself.
You too.
See you later, man.
And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.